Hello. My group, Registree, tackles the problem of the lack of a centralized database for rare diseases and implements a fuzzy search algorithm to search that database. It's a project that we put together in 48 hours for the Harvard Rare Disease Hackathon, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. So a couple of the main problems that we saw during the hackathon and we thought should be addressed is firstly that there's a lack of an accessible centralized database for physicians, patients, researchers that specifically target rare diseases. In addition, this data is sort of inaccessible because they're often in formats that require a lot of coding knowledge to extract and to process and understand. This also requires the need to implement precise search capabilities and a way to sort of group and correlate data together for easier processing. In addition, patients, physicians, most people describe their symptoms in a very semantically similar but different way from the data that's stored in the database. So, an example is the difference between knee aching and joint pain. They're basically the same phenotype, but people describe it in different ways. And in the database, maybe there's only knee aching as the phenotype stored. So joint pain will not necessarily be recognized as the same symptom. In addition, our traditional methods lack robust Boolean search tools for pinpointing specific single nucleotide polymorphisms and genetic markers. And finally, our current registries lack the information about past treatment and interventions for individual patients. And this really serves as a barrier to predict the outcomes of these personalized treatment plans and conduct robust cohort analyses. And so, sort of some of the solutions we thought of were to first create a centralized registry specifically for rare diseases, as well as using AI to semantically group previously the example of knee pain and joint pain together as sort of the same definition or phenotype, and then also implement a Boolean search for all types of data. And finally, we hope to implement this in the future. Our main goal is to connect symptoms to treatment. And this could be through sort of like the data that we talked about before with the past treatment outcomes and intervention outcomes.
Yeah, so the data that we worked with came from human phenotype ontology. I'll refer that to that as the HPO going forward. And we've actually taken every disease currently on Orphanet as of 2025 February, and we've put that and cataloged it in our registry. So Ting Ting earlier mentioned these semantically similar words that have the same phenotype that require this sort of fuzzy algorithm. So this is what happens. The user inputs symptoms as text. The LLM will add noise to the text. Basically, it'll tokenize the input text and it'll maybe shift things around just a little bit. And we'll map it to a phenotype vector. So this vector is really sparse. And essentially it says, hey, look, there's a chance of a collision with a real phenotype that's already in the database at some probability. And the more these collisions occur, the more likely it is to be that phenotype. So a bunch of vectors are created. These are averaged in a sort of ensemble method. And then at the end, uh, based on frequency, these will be ranked and the website will output a response and maybe what possible disease it might be or what phenotype it is. So to do this, we first experimented with using a custom LLM. So we took Gemini 1.5 Flash from Google as a base model and trained upon that, trained our noisy filter. And this picture kind of shows what exactly our input might look like and how the LLM will add noise. And then from a more broad bird's eye view perspective, this is what happens on our website. You could either come in with knowing exactly what you want, or you can come up with a broader symptom text input. Um, so they're going to be processed one way or the other, and possible diseases will be given as an output. And we hope to eventually connect that to past treatment, intervention, and results. We have some of it done already, so you can see PubMed IDs if you go to our current iteration of the website. But we hope to connect people to support groups and treatment plans, which is especially important in this rare disease environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, you can visit this link if you want to look at the website in general.
So this is just a brief overview of what our registry looks like. We can either put in the actual disease name or the chromosome number that's mutated, or the single nucleotide polymorphism, or we can put in the symptom or phenotype that the patient might be experiencing with this disease. So for example, if we want to search for ALD, we can click search and this will create a list if of diseases that are very similar to this name. Then can also search for disorders and genes. So let's say we want to search for chromosome 17. This will output a list of all the diseases with chromosome 17 mutations. And finally, we can either also put in specific symptoms. So let's say we're interested in issues with stamina. So what diseases have issues with stamina? Right now, the fuzzy match threshold is a little too high. So it's we need to decrease it for matches to pop up. So when we decrease it, there we go. There's, for example, disabilities with staying awake, staying asleep, carrying out administrative procedures, and these are all what the algorithm finds to be very similar to stamina issues.
So there are a couple of things that we will address in the future to improve our registry. So regarding the user interface, we will integrate the application by Dillions, which is a genome visualization tool that allows researchers to easily and without the need of any coding skills explore the genetic neighborhood of genes that are or might be associated with one particular disease. So here's a quick snapshot of how it looks like. Then we observed some problems. So regarding our LLM, whenever we give our LLM a sentence describing symptoms that a patient is experiencing, the LLM is supposed to introduce noise, meaning to find words that are semantically similar to each other. What sometimes happens is that the LLM finds and it interchanges words that are not semantically similar, but somewhat associated with each other. So for instance, one example we observed is that whenever we enter the word or the symptom of drinking, the LLM associates this with the word driving due to this association of consuming alcohol, drinking, and driving, which is of course something that is not very meaningful for our purposes. So this is something we will address in the future when we retrain the model, having also access to more data and more computational power. Then another thing that we will do is we will allow users to input genetic data into the registry. And we will also include a feature that will make predictions for personalized treatment plans for patients.